The roar of the crowd was a physical thing, a tidal wave of sound that vibrated through the floor, up my legs, and into the very marrow of my bones. My name is Kai, or ZeroK, as the esports world knew me. That roar, that electric energy, it was my lifeblood. For years, it had been. And beside me, always, had been Raze, my brother-in-arms, my closest friend, the other half of the lightning strike that was Celestial Sentinels. We'd grown up together, Riven and I. Our childhood's a blur of shared controllers, LAN parties in dusty basements, and dreams whispered under the glow of CRT monitors. We weren't just teammates. We were family. We discovered Aegis Prime in its beta phase, a tactical FPS that was more chess match than mindless shooter, demanding strategy, precision, and an almost telepathic understanding between teammates. We clicked with it instantly. Our synergy was legendary. I was the cool-headed strategist, the in-game leader. My calls precise, my aim steady. Riven was the explosive fragger, the unpredictable wildcard. His reflexes supernatural. His plays capable of turning unwinnable rounds on their head. Together, we were poetry in motion, a digital dance of death and destruction. Celestial Sentinels was our creation, built from the ground up with two other talented players, Jax Juggernaut and Luna Petrova. We'd clawed our way through amateur leagues, through grueling qualifiers, fueled by instant noodles, shared dreams, and an unshakable belief in each other. And now, here we were, the grand finals of the Aegis Prime World Championship, the culmination of everything. Millions of dollars on the line, the coveted Genesis trophy gleaming under the stage lights, and the roar of 10,000 fans chanting our names. Our opponents were the reigning champions, Vanguard Legion, a formidable European squad known for their iron discipline and flawless execution. The series was tied 2-2. One final map, Skyfall Citadel, would decide it all. The tension in our soundproof booth was thick enough to choke on. I could feel the familiar pre-game adrenaline thrumming through me, sharpening my senses, heightening my focus. I looked at Riven, gave him our customary fist bump. "Let's bring it home, brother," I said, my voice calm despite the storm raging inside me. He grinned, that familiar, cocksure Riven grin. Always ZeroK for the glory. The first few rounds were a brutal back and forth. Skyfall Citadel was a complex map, a multi-layered fortress demanding perfect coordination. We traded rounds, each one a miniature war of attrition. Riven was on fire, his signature aggressive pushes catching Vanguard off guard, his aim inhuman. We were up 12-10, match point. One more round, and the Genesis trophy, the dream, was ours. The final round, we were on attack. My strategy was a feigned push on A site, drawing their defenders, while Riven and I executed a swift, silent plant on B. It was a classic Sentinels play, one we'd practiced 1,000 times. I called it. Jax and Luna initiated the A-site distraction, grenades blooming, gunfire echoing. Raze, with me, B-site. Go, go, go. I whispered into the comms, my own character already ghosting through the deserted B tunnels. Silence. Raze, you copy, I repeated, a flicker of unease stirring. We were on a tight timer. Yeah, got it. Riven's voice finally crackled back, but it sounded off, distracted. I reached B-site, cleared the immediate angles. Empty. Planting spike rays. Cover me from heaven, I instructed, referring to a high vantage point overlooking the site. The spike was the objective. Planting it initiated a countdown. Defending it was crucial. The spike went down. 45 seconds on the clock. Spike planted. Raze. You got heaven? More silence. Then, a burst of gunfire from A site. Jax went down. 3A! Rotating fast! Luna called, her voice strained. Raze, where are you? I yelled now, panic coiling in my gut. They're coming B! And then I saw it. On my minimap. Riven's icon. He wasn't at heaven. He wasn't rotating to B. He was, inexplicably, suicidally, pushing mid, alone, right into the path of the 3 rotating Vanguard players. It made no tactical sense. It was a throw. A deliberate, inexplicable throw. Raze! What the hell are you doing? I screamed, but it was too late. His icon grayed out on the map. Eliminated. Raze is down! Luna confirmed, bewildered. What was that play? I was alone, defending the spike against 3 of the world's best players. An impossible situation. I managed to take down one with a desperate headshot as they flooded the site, but the other 2 overwhelmed me. The Vanguard Legend Wins banner flashed across the giant screens. The roar of the crowd shifted, a confused murmur at first, then a triumphant cacophony from the Vanguard supporters. In our booth, there was a stunned, suffocating silence. Jack slammed his headset onto the desk. Luna just stared at her screen, her face pale. I looked at Riven. He was already taking off his headset, his expression unreadable, avoiding my gaze. What was that, Riven? I asked, my voice dangerously quiet. That last round. What the actual hell was that? He shrugged, a casual, dismissive gesture that sent a shard of ice through my heart. Bad call. Misread the situation. It happens. Misread the situation? Jax exploded. You ran into a 3-vone with no backup on match point, when you were supposed to be covering the plant. That wasn't a misread. That was something else. Lay off, Jax. Riven snapped, his eyes finally meeting mine, cold and hard. We lost. Get over it. Get over it? We just lost the World Championship, millions of dollars, the culmination of a decade of shared dreams, because of his inexplicable, game-losing play. And he was telling us to get over it? The post-match press conference was a nightmare. The questions were relentless. ZeroK, what happened in that final round? Raze, can you explain your decision-making? We mumbled platitudes, deflected, tried to maintain a united front, but the cracks were already showing. Riven was sullen, defensive. I was numb, my mind replaying that final round. His icon moving so deliberately, so suicidally. On the minimap, the flight home was a mausoleum of unspoken accusations. The team was fractured, the trust shattered. The Genesis Trophy, so close we could almost taste it, was now in the hands of Vanguard Legion. The truth, when it finally surfaced, was uglier than anything I could have imagined. A week after the finals, an anonymous email landed in my inbox. The subject line: The real reason Celestial Sentinels lost. Attached was a series of encrypted chat logs and a heavily redacted financial transaction record. It took me hours, with the help of a tech-savvy friend, to decrypt and verify them. The logs were between Riven and a shadowy figure known only as Mr. Silk, a notorious match fixer in the underground esports betting scene. They detailed a deal. Riven would ensure Celestial Sentinels lost the grand finals, specifically that final crucial round. In exchange, a substantial sum, far more than his share of the prize money would have been, would be deposited into an offshore account. The transaction record, though parts were obscured, showed a large deposit made to an untraceable crypto wallet just hours after the match. I felt physically sick. The betrayal was absolute, a cold, venomous serpent coiling around my heart. This wasn't just a bad play, a moment of madness. This was a calculated, premeditated act of treachery. Riven, my best friend, my brother, had sold us out. He'd sold me out. For money. He'd spat on everything we'd built, everything we stood for. Confronting him was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I showed him the evidence. He didn't even try to deny it for long. His initial bluster crumbled under the weight of the proof. His face, when the arrogance finally drained away, was that of a stranger. Weak, greedy, and pathetic. "Why, Riven?" I asked, my voice hoarse. "Why would you do this to us?" To me, he mumbled something about debts, about pressure, about an offer he couldn't refuse. Excuses. Empty, hollow excuses that couldn't begin to fill the chasm of his betrayal. "We were brothers," I said, the words tasting like ash. "I would have helped you with anything. Anything." He just looked away, shame and defiance warring on his face. The fallout was catastrophic. I presented the evidence to the Esports Integrity Commission, ESIC. Celestial Sentinels was officially disbanded. Riven was handed a lifetime ban from all professional Aegis Prime play, his name forever a byword for treachery. Jax and Luna, though innocent, were tainted by association. Their careers stalled. My own reputation was in tatters. Despite being cleared of any wrongdoing, the stain of the scandal clung to me. I was ZeroK, the captain of the team that threw the World Championship. The sponsors vanished. The fan messages turned from adoration to vitriol. I became a pariah. For months, I drifted in a fog of despair and rage. My passion for Aegis Prime, once a burning sun, was reduced to cold embers. I couldn't even look at the game without feeling a fresh wave of nausea. The betrayal had cut that deep. Riven, I heard, had disappeared, probably living off his ill-gotten gains somewhere remote, his esports career a smoldering ruin. Good riddance. But the fire, though dampened, wasn't extinguished. Slowly, painstakingly, the anger began to morph into something else, a cold, hard resolve. Riven had taken my dream, my reputation, my trust. I couldn't let him win, not truly. I wouldn't let his betrayal be the final word on my story. I would come back. I would rebuild. And I would face him again, on the digital battlefield where he had committed his crime. And I would make him understand the true meaning of defeat. The first step was finding a new team. It felt like an impossible task. Who would want ZeroK, the captain of the infamous Celestial Sentinels? But the esports world, for all its drama, also has a long memory for talent. And some remembered my skill, my leadership, before the scandal. I reached out to Anya Nova Sharma, a brilliant but overlooked support player whose old team had recently imploded due to internal politics. She was hungry, fiercely intelligent, and possessed an almost intuitive understanding of game flow. Then there was Marcus Tank Johnson, a veteran AWPer whose legendary aim was matched only by his stoic, unflappable demeanor. He'd been considering retirement, but the challenge of a comeback intrigued him. The final piece was a young, raw talent, a kid named Kenji Wraith Tanaka, a prodigy from the Japanese amateur scene. His mechanics breathtaking, but his team play unrefined. He was a gamble, but I saw a spark in him, a hunger that reminded me of myself and Riven, back in the early days, before the poison set in. We called ourselves Phoenix Legion, a new beginning, rising from the ashes of my old life. The training was brutal. We were 4 disparate individuals, each with our own playstyles, our own baggage. Forging us into a cohesive unit was a monumental undertaking. We lived and breathed Aegis Prime. Endless hours in custom servers, dissecting VODs, arguing strategy, running drills until our fingers ached and our eyes burned. I pushed them hard, but I pushed myself harder. I had to be more than just a good player. I had to be a leader they could trust, a leader who could guide them through the storm I knew was coming. There were setbacks, frustrations, moments when I wanted to throw my headset across the room. But the image of Riven's smug face, the memory of his betrayal, always fueled my resolve. Slowly, we began to gel. Nova's insightful calls and clutch support plays became the backbone of our defense. Tank's impossible AWP shots opened up maps and broke enemy morale. Wraith, under my guidance, began to channel his raw aggression into devastatingly effective, coordinated pushes. And I rediscovered my own fire, my strategic mind sharper than ever. my aim true. Phoenix Legion was no longer just a collection of players. We were a team. The next Aegis Prime Pro season began. We started in the lower tiers, having to fight our way through open qualifiers. It was a humbling experience, playing in small online tournaments, far from the roar of stadium crowds. But with each victory, our confidence grew. We climbed the ranks, our unorthodox strategies and relentless aggression catching established teams by surprise. The esports media, initially dismissive, began to take notice. ZeroK's redemption arc? One headline pondered. And then, inevitably, our paths crossed with Riven. He'd resurfaced, his lifetime ban mysteriously commuted to a mere 2-year suspension after some new evidence, read expensive lawyers and backroom deals, came to light. He was now the star player for Viper Strike, a newly formed team bankrolled by shadowy investors, the same kind of people, I suspected, who had orchestrated his original betrayal. Their roster was stacked with mercenaries, talented but soulless players drawn by fat paychecks. Our first match against Viper Strike, in the semi-finals of a major regional tournament, was a grudge match of epic proportions. The tension was unbearable. Every round felt personal. Riven played with a desperate, almost unhinged aggression, as if trying to prove something to himself, to the world, perhaps even to me. We lost, narrowly, in overtime. The defeat was a bitter pill, but it also hardened our resolve. We knew we would meet them again. The rest of the season was a blur of victories, near misses, and relentless improvement. Phoenix Legion became a force to be reckoned with, our story capturing the imagination of fans who loved an underdog, who craved a narrative of redemption. We made it to the World Championship qualifiers, then through the group stages, then the playoffs. Each step was a battle, but we fought as one. And then, as if scripted by some cosmic dramatist, we found ourselves in the grand finals of the Aegis Prime World Championship. Our opponents? Viper Strike, Riven. The roar of the crowd this time felt different. It wasn't just excitement, it was anticipation, a hunger for the showdown that had been brewing for a year. The narrative was irresistible. The betrayed captain versus his treacherous former teammate. A battle for redemption, for honor, for the soul of the game. The series was a knife edge. We traded maps, each game a brutal, strategic chess match. Riven was at his peak, his individual skill undeniable. But Viper Strike, for all their talent, lacked our cohesion, our trust. They were a collection of stars. We were a constellation. It came down, once again, to the final map, Skyfall Citadel. The echoes of last year's disaster were deafening in my mind. Match point. Our match point this time. 12-11. The final round. We were on defense. Viper Strike, desperate. Threw everything they had at B-site. It was a chaotic, bloody firefight. Trades went back and forth. Tank hit an impossible collateral shot through smoke, taking down 2. Nova, with nerves of steel, won a crucial 1 Evone clutch. It came down to me and Wraith versus Riven. The spike planted, ticking down. Wraith, bless his aggressive heart, pushed too hard and got traded out by Riven. It was me versus Riven, 1-on-1. The world championship on the line. The ghosts of the past swirling around me. He knew my tendencies, my play style. I knew his. It was a deadly dance of feints and mind games. He tried to bait me, to draw me into an unfavorable duel, but I was patient. I held the angle, my crosshair steady, my breathing controlled. The spike ticked. He had to make a move. He peeked. For a fraction of a second, his head appeared around the corner. My shot was instantaneous, a pure reflex honed by a lifetime of gaming. The satisfying thud of a headshot. His character crumpled. Phoenix Legion wins. The roar was deafening, a cathartic explosion of sound. My teammates were screaming, jumping, embracing. I just sat there for a moment, the adrenaline slowly ebbing, leaving behind a profound sense of peace. We had done it. But it wasn't over. Not quite. During the post-match interview on stage, the interviewer, a well-known esports journalist, asked the inevitable question. ZeroK. An incredible victory. Redemption. What does this mean to you? Especially given the history. This was my moment. For a year, I had carried the weight of Riven's betrayal, the whispers, the doubts. For a year, I had been gathering more than just a new team. I had been gathering more evidence. My tech-savvy friend had managed to trace the crypto transaction from Mr. Silk further, linking it to a shell corporation with ties to Viper Strike's shadowy backers. I had anonymous testimony from another player who had been approached by Mr. Silk. I had a digital breadcrumb trail. I took a deep breath. This victory means everything to Phoenix Legion, I began, my voice clear and steady, broadcast to millions around the world. It's a testament to hard work, trust, and true sportsmanship. But it's also about more than just winning this trophy. I looked directly at the camera, then my gaze found Riven, standing with his defeated team, his face a mask of disbelief. A year ago, on this very stage, a great injustice occurred. A championship was stolen, not through skill, but through deceit, through match-fixing. A gasp went through the crowd. The journalist looked stunned. I have evidence, I continued. Irrefutable evidence that the final round of last year's World Championship was thrown by a member of my former team, Rise&Revenge Mitchell, in exchange for a substantial payout from individuals connected to the esports betting underworld. Individuals who, I believe, also have connections to his current team, Viper Strike. I held up a datastic. This contains chat logs, financial records, sworn affidavits. I have already submitted it to the Esports Integrity Commission and relevant law enforcement agencies. The truth, Riven, always comes out. The silence in the arena was absolute. Then, chaos. Riven's face went white. His teammates looked at him with dawning horror. The Viper Strike owners, watching from their VIP box, were already scrambling for the exits. The ensuing scandal rocked the esports world to its core. ESIC launched a full-scale investigation based on my evidence. Mr. Silk and several of his associates were arrested. Viper Strike was disbanded, its owners facing multiple charges. Riven's commuted ban was reinstated, this time, truly for life. His name became synonymous with the ultimate betrayal, a cautionary tale whispered in gaming forums for years to come. Phoenix Legion, on the other hand, became heroes. We were more than just champions. We were symbols of integrity, of fighting for what's right. The Genesis Trophy felt heavier, more meaningful than I could have ever imagined. My journey had been a descent into the abyss and a hard-fought climb back into the light. I had lost a brother, but I had found a new family in Phoenix Legion. I had been betrayed, but I had reclaimed my honor, not just by winning, but by ensuring that the truth, however ugly, was brought to light. The roar of the crowd still echoed in my ears, but now it was a symphony of respect, a testament to the enduring power of resilience and the sweet, undeniable taste of justice. The game wasn't just about winning. It was about how you played it, on and off the server. And that was a lesson I would carry with me, always.